When I go to Sacramento, I will pump up Sacramento.
Some say the news is fake. Others say it's real. These two don't have the time to check. Instead, Turner Sparks and Michael Ira Kaplan turn to comics stationed around the globe to be their eyewitness reporters so that you can know what's really going on. This is Lost in America.
All right, everybody, welcome to Lost in America, episode 199. My name's Turner Sparks.
And I am Mikhail Kaplan.
You can find me at Turner Sparks on Instagram. You can find Kaplan at Cap in America on Instagram. You can find this show at Lost in America Pod, also on Instagram, also lostinamericapod.com. We have a YouTube show. If you're watching us right now on YouTube, download our podcast. If you're listening to the podcast, watch us on YouTube. We like to double our views that way. Do all of it, everybody. Kaplan, also, this show is not brought to you by sponsors. We don't have sponsors. We don't want sponsors. We have the people. We have the people of the world paying us $5 a week. That adds up to enough money so we can keep the Zoom going on this show. We can keep the lights on. Kaplan, tell more about our Patreon show.
Well, first of all, you just said $5 a week, and I'm sure they said I'm in, but it's actually $5 a month.
You're right.
So it's a bargain. You're getting 3 episodes extra a week of us talking about our lives in our bunkers in quarantine because we're still bunkered up here. We're good. We're following the rules we're dealing with my kids going to school.
Yes, if you want to know about the New York City school system and the ins and outs of why Kaplan's kids are maybe going to school, maybe not going to school, if you want to know about the new Karen living in Cobble Hill who keeps calling the cops on me every 2 days when we walk outside and 3 of us sit outside and try to watch a movie, listen to our Patreon show, patreon.com/Lost in America. Kaplan, on the podcast today, we have the comedian from Moscow, Russia, Oleg Denisov, coming up very soon. But let's start. We're talking to him today. They just had an election in Russia. Do you know that, Kaplan?
I didn't even realize. No, that's how much I'm following it. Did you until we decided to talk about this? Because to me, I just thought they stopped having elections in Russia. I thought they just decided Putin. If you're going to run against Putin, you're probably going to fall out of a window because you don't have window locks. Apparently, none of the opposition leaders in Russia have window locks. I thought you're gonna get poisoned. So like people stopped running against him. I thought he was just dictator for life at this point. I didn't even know.
I'll take you one further, Kaplan. Yeah. I didn't, before we researched these elections in Russia, the way I heard about the elections in Russia is because that guy got poisoned. Okay. Yes. So the guy gets poisoned and I go, wait, why did he get poisoned? They go, oh, because he's like leading an opposition party. And I'm like, there's no parties. Yeah. I thought it was like China where it's like there's in China, there's the Communist Party. There's no other parties, right? In China. Yeah. I figured it was similar. I didn't know. I agree. I thought Putin was just the leader and we all were just kind of like, that's the way it goes. Tough luck, everybody else.
I mean, they had Boris Yeltsin back in the day after Soviet Union and he was a drunk. And I felt like, you know what? They decided democracy's too risky. Drunks can get in office. So let's just shut that down. Let's go right. Like Putin's strong. And let's just go with it. Like then we have to worry about absentee mail-in voting, all those arguments' sake. So
then there's another thing, another piece. I don't know if this is a piece of the same story. I guess it kind of is related. We did just read something yesterday that Putin said he will stop meddling in the U.S. election, but he wants us to stop meddling in his elections.
That's some beautiful gaslighting, isn't it? Is that the word?
I don't know what the word is, but I'm like, first of all, you guys have elections. Mind blowing. Does our CIA even know they have elections?
Yeah,
that's the question. They were probably like, wait, we're supposed to meddle in yours too?
Yeah, because they used to. I remember at one point there was another president, and then because Putin then just changed the constitution, is how I remember it, and just said no because there was term limits. They used to have term limits. Got rid of those.
We don't like those.
I thought since then we stopped interfering because why are we bothering at this point? What are we wasting our resources?
Do we really think we're going to get someone else to win?
Trump is right, actually, saving some money to not interfere in elections you can't influence. You only influence the ones that are close. Smart.
Yes,
Look at that leader, saving us money.
Sleepy
Joe Biden never would have thought of that.
All right. Oleg, I want to give you a proper introduction as we bring you in. So here we go. Oleg Denisov, he performs all over the place, all over Europe, possibly all over the world. We'll find out in a minute, but he's done the Edinburgh Fringe Festival a number of times. His most recent show was called Russian Troll, very popular there. He also owns the only multilingual comedy club in Europe, if I got that right. It's called Steal the Show Comedy Club. It's in Moscow. He performs in English. He performs in and also in Russian and possibly Spanish. People at the club perform in Spanish. Come on in, Oleg. Thank you for doing this. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
Hey guys, hey
Welcome.
Turner, hi Kaplan. Yeah, I'm doing well, great considering circumstances. I'm all right. Yeah, thanks for having me on the show. Yeah, about the club. Yeah, you're almost correct. Like the first trilingual, right? Is it the correct word?
Trilingual.
Yeah, it's kind of like where every week we have shows in 3 languages. This is as far as I know, the only club in Europe of this sort. Yeah.
That's amazing. And what did we get right and what did we get wrong about all of our knowledge on Russia?
Well, you got kind of you got some things right, but I think we need to get more detail on those. So basically, yeah. So what do you want to start with?
Let's start with the meddling in each other's election thing. Let's start there.
Yeah.
I think that's what everyone's curious about anyway. So let's get that out of the way right at the beginning. Is it in the news in Russia that the U.S. meddles in your election?
Well, the thing is, it's important to kind of understand how like Russian propaganda sees like America and the West in general, and America is supposedly the leader of the West. Yeah, so it's kind of like the biggest and the richest country. So the thing is. It's kind of like this double thing going on all the time. It's kind of on one hand, America is like very powerful enemy, and we should all kind of unite against America, and that's why we need Putin because he's strong and can protect us. And the other thing, at the same time, it's kind of like everything America does is like it's such an easy move. It's like we don't even care. Basically, it's kind of like these two things. Like on one hand, they're kind of strong. On the other, they're kind of ridiculed. Yeah. So and the same with the elections. Like elections, it's not so much meddling in the elections, but it's more kind of they admit that America probably doesn't have resources to meddle in the elections. But what they do meddle with, like, is the like street protest thing. So basically, every street protest in Russia is organized by Americans. Even like.
So your Black Lives Matter events are organized by America?
Yeah, our yeah. I read a few articles from like like hardcore patriotic websites, like specifically for today, because it's not like I read them on like just for getting material mostly. But right. one of the articles was about Black Lives Matter, and it was like. Because as far as we here are concerned, America is influencing every street protest in every country, like from Hong Kong to Belarus. So that's why, like, that's why your huge national debt probably. I don't know, like, there's just a lot of money spent on that. But it's kind of like now America is using the same like revolution technology on their own country. And
right, we're doing it to ourselves. It's gone amok.
Yes,
like, we're
kind of like you've done it to everybody, and like who else is left? Let's do it in America. Let's try it.
So
is that protest in your? We should say for those watching on YouTube, and your background looks like a protest. Did we organize that one as well? The gay rights parade that
that's I don't think we actually had this physically. I think it's part of some bigger protest, and the picture is a part of the bigger protest, and there were like a section of it which was like LGBT, and it was before this kind of gay propaganda law that was imposed, like it would be not possible to
so now they're not even legal
come to a rally. Yeah.
So Putin has asked us to stop meddling in the affairs more than the elections.
Yeah, in the
Russia?
affairs.
Is that the idea?
I think he's just a rhetorical move he uses, kind of, because like in America there is, as far as I understand, a lot of talking about Russian meddling in the elections. So he just says like, okay, so we stop if you stop. Like. It's kind of like it's really this rhetoric really works for like a lot of people in Russia, because it's sort of like his like rhetorical moves are kind of like the kind of street moves. It's like you're the fool, or like it's,
Yeah.
I stop if you stop.
It's like
this.
what the guy on the street would do. What you would do if you're arguing in a card game or something, like you cheated at cards or something.
Well, it's like when you want to fight and you don't really want to fight, you want someone to hold you back, kind of thing. Like you don't, like they don't really, like then you're saying, then if they influence it and it doesn't go their way, they could say, oh, we agreed to stop ahead of time. Like you're kind of, you're hedging.
You're like, you throw the first punch and I'll come at you. Throw the first punch.
Yeah. So it's, but yeah.
And what do people think of and then I want to get into the Russian stuff, but this is on the front of everyone's mind listening. What do Russian people think of Trump specifically?
It's you know, like in the okay, continue the question if you.
No, I mean if it's split. I'm not saying everyone thinks the same thing. I'm saying but just in detail.
Well, I mean the official position is that he's viewed like he's viewed as a good president for Russia, of course. Like it's a good, but there is not much actual talk about him being like Putin's like a puppet figure. Like I know, like some people do, some people no. Like it's kind of the thing is over the last like 15 years, the discourse about America kind of went past this like who is the better president or worse president. Now like the position is that whoever the president is, the general establishment acts like the like geopolitical actions of the establishment is not is influenced by the president only in very minor ways. So basically the policy towards Russia is always like Russia is an enemy, regardless of who is the president. Like it's a little bit better, a little bit worse, but in general it's all the same. But Trump in general is viewed sympathetically,
Because if he's his puppet and then we do something that's bad to Russia, then it would be like, well, what
it's kind of
it'd make Putin look weak. It would make Putin look weak. I see that.
So the position is they're kind of good, like sort of like friend figures, like they understand each other, and Trump is generally like a trustworthy guy to us, but the establishment is much bigger than him. And they are actually viewing Trump as the American anti-establishment figure. I would like
draining the swamp.
He's fighting the deep state.
Deep state, yes.
Deep state, yeah. It was actually very funny because when I was doing my first Edinburgh show in 2017, and Trump had only recently been elected by then, and there were some material about that. And in Russia, at this point, this really was viewed as a huge victory. For some reason, a lot of political forces in Russia, like pro-government forces, they thought now America is gonna be much friendlier and we have much more collaboration. For example, I use this in my show. The Communist Party of Russia, which exists apparently, it still exists, but it's not really communist anymore. It's kind of pro-Putin, one of the pro-Putin, kind of a left pro-Putin party, and there is a right pro-Putin party. So basically, they're a left pro-Putin party. And when Trump was elected, they issued a statement saying Donald Trump's victory celebrates the defeat of the global financial and speculative capital. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what. That's exactly what.
Billionaire being elected. Yeah.
Yeah, we all know this, Karl Marx, Friedrich Engels, Vladimir Lenin, and Donald Trump, the great communist leaders.
They love Trump. Marx would have loved Trump if he knew him.
And so, and then what's the view of Biden and Obama before him? I mean, is it just, again, it's just going to perpetuate? If Biden wins, is that seen as something really bad? Or not seen at all?
Yeah, as I said, in general, they're more sympathetic toward Trump and more sympathetic towards Republicans. But in general, nothing really changes. This is the view that is perpetuated now.
That's a reversal. I mean, it used to always be, going back to this, the Cold War days, that the Democrats would be considered more sympathetic to Russia. And even going back toObama had a reset with Putin that I guess
Medvedev. I think it was mostly Medvedev who he was
yeah.
If you remember, this guy who was in office for 4 years.
Oh, yes. Right, the guy.
And during this time, this period is actually a lot of people of my generation view as a sort of thaw sort of period. Yeah, like when Medvedev met like Obama, they had like burgers together, and in general in Russia, a lot of laws were kind of liberalized during this period. But then, like when Putin came back in 2012, like it all started to kind of a lot of laws, which a lot of legislation was like literally reversed. Like Medvedev, like 2 years ago, said, "Okay, this is a great thing. That's very correct thing to do." Like, okay, 100% of like the ruling party voted for it, and then Putin says, "Well, it actually didn't really work."
Can you walk us through quickly how the steps Putin has taken along the way? He became the leader or president in 99. Is that correct?
Yeah, he was like what's it called? Like taking like the position because he was a prime minister, and then he was acting president because Yeltsin said like I'm too drunk to do it, and like I can't.
I got that right.
So he did it in 99. And then can you quickly just take us through the steps he's taken from 99 until now to stay in power?
Well, yeah, basically it's now it's kind of he's already like not a man, but like the whole era, right? So now I think it's useful to talk like early Putin, like middle Putin, and like late.
He's
Putin,
reinvented
like
himself. His game.
The three Putins.
Yeah. The three,
he's
at least
added
three.
to his game as a dictator. Yeah.
Like three for now.
Yeah.
And kind of Putin, which is Medvedev.
Right. Putin
kind
puppet.
of Putin. Yeah. So basically, like the first period when he just became president, he used a lot of like in ministry, like in the cabinet of ministers, there were a lot of people who were kind of liberals, like economically, first of all, and like in the first few years, the first 4 years, they've done a lot of good work in terms of stabilizing the economy, and of course, like the higher oil prices, but also they kind of modernized a lot of things like tax legislation and a lot of useful like economic reforms. But later, towards like 2007, there was this famous Munich speech of Putin when basically he said like it was his first like aggressive rhetoric towards the West. Yeah. So before that, he was kind of he even like at some point I think it was considered Russia joining NATO and stuff. So he was like liberal firstly, like in terms of relations with the West. Then didn't work out, and like he's done a lot to do it, of course, himself, because like he like on a deep level he really doesn't believe democracy exists. Like he really doesn't believe. That's kind of like a part of his like KGB mindset. Like he I mean this comes from many sources. He just doesn't like he honestly believes like this, like the protests in Belarus are like orchestrated by like American like agents, like in the coming from the embassy and paying people money.
We're so amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, you're doing really well. I mean, like just one more. Can you like up the financing like 15% so that finally get rid of Lukashenko? Like
we're working on it.
So
we did a
so,
podcast
yeah, and then,
on that. We didn't get into that, but yeah.
Ask for more money on Patreon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is, like, that was the first period. Then, like, when Medvedev became the president, like, it was not even clear that Putin. Like, at first, it wasn't clear that Putin would come back. At the time, he looked like he would actually, like, if the system would work, he might. He looked like he could have not come back actually.
And that was 2008.
2008 to 2012, but then after like after the liberalization, there was this 2018 there was election which was rigged. The parliament election was rigged, and basically everybody knew it was rigged, and like all the like parties from the parliament who were already kind of pro-Putin, pro-government, they started kind of to become independent, like the Communist Party, and like there were a couple of other kind of in general pro-Putin parties, and they said, no, we don't agree with it. Let's go to a rally. Let's go to the street. So basically, the system kind of just started like liberalizing itself and like being more democratic. as soon as he kind of loosened the grip. Yeah. So and there were huge protests, over 100,000 people in Moscow, and I remember this really well.
What year was that in?
2011. And I remember it. It was very interesting because the first protest was actually like smaller. It was on the night of the election, when everybody realized it was rigged, and because for over a decade they hadn't been protests because the economy was growing, everything was kind of
the oil prices were great that decade.
Yeah. And there was the first rally, and I took part in it, and I was coming from another city, not even from Moscow, specifically to take part. And it was amazing. It was nobody really knew what to do. The protesters didn't know how to protest, and the police didn't know what to do as well. It's just a lot of policemen just saying "Hey, chief, what do we do?" It's sort of the people they're climbing over fences. Do we do what exactly?
Did you even know you were allowed? Did you assume you were going to be arrested when you got there, or you assumed you would be allowed to protest?
At this point, it was completely different time. No, we even though a few people I think were arrested, but they kind of released really soon. It was the first protest when Navalny started gaining popularity since then, the guy who was poisoned, and he kind of led this protest. In 2018, 2011, yeah. So basically after this, and there were a series of protests. So Putin, he kind of decided to. This is ridiculous. I have this I have a window here, and somebody is just taking the carpet because we all have carpets in our rooms, and kind of just. I can see it from my window. They kind of just holding it down and kind of. De-dusting it.
They're dusting off their carpet into your window?
Well, if it was open, then they would have been...
They would have been doused in dust just over you?
Yeah. That's just a tradition, yeah.
That's a Russian custom, yeah.
Life in Moscow.
Because they hear that I'm speaking English, so they want to...
Oh.
They want to show their disrespect. So.
There's a bug on that.
Yeah, be careful.
On the rug.
It's not poison. Soap.
Then Medvedev announced that Putin is coming back, and then it was since then,
I'm back.
At this point,
This faxed in.
No, he didn't do it. He didn't do it himself. It was a show. Medvedev comes out before the ruling party, all the members of the ruling party. He said we were thinking, and we all agree that it's actually the best decision.
He's got a gun to his head.
Yeah, reading a letter.
Yep. I'm pretty sure he wanted to stay for at least 4 more years himself. He's why
they get more beers with Obama? He was having fun. Burgers.
Yeah. So and then Putin is oh, I did not expect that.
What an actor.
He's blushing. He goes, who, me?
If my country calls, I guess I'll answer the phone.
Yeah.
You want me back? Was there election for Putin to come back, or?
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, we have elections. We had them every 4 years then, and then but that was actually done during Medvedev's rule because so that Putin wouldn't do it himself. He kind of made the terms longer for parliament and for president. So parliament.
He had to change. Was it he wasn't allowed to be the president again? They changed it. Is that what it was, or
no? That was this year. But I'm talking about Medvedev, almost 10 years ago.
So what was it?
So it used to be 4 years parliament, 4 years president before Medvedev. Then Medvedev, obviously, so it wasn't really his initiative, but it's kind of Putin. So Putin wouldn't prolong his own terms. It kind of Medvedev prolonged it for him. Yeah.
That's
so he made it 5 years parliament and 6 years president. So after Medvedev, Putin came back for he was allowed to come back for 2 terms, 6 years each.
2 terms, 6 years each. So that's 12 good years.
Right. So Medvedev is very selfless because he extended the term limit for the president and then didn't run for president. That's a real team player.
Yeah, it's the more
That's very-
like the most altruistic person I know. Like,
Yeah, nobody who would do that.
Love of country. Love of country.
Love of country. There it is.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
then Putin came in, and now he's got 12 years before he even has to think about what to do next.
Changing the
Right.
rules.
Well,
man,
he started thinking this year basically because he was elected for 6 years. Yeah, let me check in 2012. Yeah, so the next election was 2018, and the next is going to be in 4 years, 2024.
Sure.
But like by the old constitution, it would definitely be the last. It would have to be the last. So what he did is like, and it was especially. Like the situation was super weird when he proposed this referendum. It's a procedure which basically contradicts every possible law in the country, like election law. Like it's not even possible to do, because basically to change the constitution, to change one thing in the constitution, you have to have a referendum with this specific thing, kind of, or maybe like I know 3 things or something. It's kind of yes or no, to referendum, but. To change, like he proposed like 80 different like little minor things for like changes in the constitution, and each of them was supposed to be like was designed for a specific group of people. For example, we would kind of raise pensions for pensioners for like on this little bit. We will protect like, and there are like meaningless things like we will protect like the Institute of Family. We will protect like the Russian language.
I'm for that.
Like.
Family.
Yeah, family, and like it was actually implied. It was like in the constitution. Now we had like the family is between a man and a woman.
Oh, I see. That's how they trick you.
Wow.
You just turned me into an anti-LGBT voter.
You're a horrible person.
Yes.
Mm.
So that was
in
to
the
bring out
middle of
voters,
this,
basically.
In the middle of this, he snuck in this idea. Like,
Yeah,
you believe
and
in family? Are you against racism? And also, can I be president for life?
Yeah, and he's like, and in the end, like a small font. Yeah, like it's, and also we kind of prolonged.
Was it that move where like when you do when you're filling out like you're at the doctor's office and like, do you have diabetes?
Yes,
do you have tuberculosis? And you instead of Xing, you just draw a line all the way down. Is that what he was hoping, that everyone would just go yes all the way down?
Yeah, pretty much.
Nobody reads those things. iTunes.
Yeah, but he did. But he didn't actually he didn't say like president for life. He just said like, because we're changing the constitution, everything like starts from zero, starts from scratch. So he has another 2 terms. Like so.
Oh, he's another 2 terms now.
12 more years. Yeah.
Oh, he really hoodwinked everybody.
Yeah.
And there's no like Supreme Court to appeal this to or something, right?
The funniest thing is because the whole procedure is illegal anyway. Like it was mostly kind of it is really illegal, and there was no like proper procedures. There was no proper like it doesn't fall under the election law at all, because like there is no name for this procedure. So basically, to change the constitutions, it needed like a certain percentage of regional parliaments approving it. And since regional parliaments are like the ruling party, and like in Moscow and St. Petersburg, of course, like some of the opposition, like there's more opposition in the parliament, but everywhere else it's really easy just to by force to maintain the regional parliaments in the ruling party. So they voted and they accepted this already. Like by the time people started voting in the middle of coronavirus crisis, it was already done.
Whoa.
It was over.
Okay. So this is really recently. I mean, during coronavirus.
That was this, I think like they postponed this thing for like a couple of times. I think it was supposed to be March or April. And in the end they voted.
Coronavirus, yeah.
I think it was early August or late July or something like this, like really recently.
And it passed.
Yeah, or maybe July, I think. Yeah, and it passed. Yeah, and it passed.
And so is that why skipping ahead to this guy getting poisoned, the poison guy?
Yeah.
No,
The latest guy to get yeah.
Navalny, right?
The latest guy who got poisoned. Yeah, let's say this. Yeah, Navalny. Because like it really like for the few months it like, because there was not much happening in the political life and in the like social life. It was just like 2 topics. It's like coronavirus, Putin.
It's boring. Yeah, let's do something else. Spice it up.
Yeah, just two horrible topics. Like one of them is a disease which is very dangerous, and the other is coronavirus. It's kind of. Sorry, I'm just sneaking in some.
Great
thoughts.
bit. So, did that? So what? Obviously, I mean, from what I've read, it seems like Navalny was someone that Putin for the last 10 years could use to say, "Oh, look, this is." Everyone else does have a chance because he's my opposition. So you could vote for him. You could vote for me. It's up to you. This is a free country. You can vote for whoever you want.
Hey, he hasn't fallen out of a window yet. He's alive. See,
so he was almost beneficial. He did get imprisoned at one point, right? In the middle of this, a few years back.
I mean, he did a few times. I think at least but for short terms usually. But it
for like wearing the wrong color hat or something. Right?
No, usually for organizing the rallies and stuff like this sort of thing. But also when it was clear that he could become like not like contend for president, like, but at least like he did. He was a contender for the mayor of Moscow, and he got almost 30%, and even though it was like they were also rigged because like on some like voting points there were special like electronic voting like urns,
yes,
and
like
in these
voting machine.
That voting machine, and the other is just like a usual, like you drop it in
ballot.
and like so basically, if you counted only electronic, which was harder, and at this point, like there was not like the government wasn't so experienced in rigging elections. So if you count only electronic, then it would have been like second round, like between him and the acting mayor.
I see. They have to go to a second round of voting.
The paper ballots,
but because they balanced it with rigging with like manual urns, they
paper ballot.
They got the mayor got like 51% or something. So basically, there was no second round.
Okay, he lost 51 to 30.
The mayor is a Putin guy.
But basically, at this point, it was 2013. At this point, like they realized that Navalny can become an actual contender for something. Well, if he almost got into the second round, like technically didn't, but really he did, of mayor of Moscow, then he could be a really like dangerous. And so what they did is they prosecuted him for like as usual thing, like money laundering, fraud, like thing, sort of as like in all the dictatorship, you know the score.
Classic move.
Classic move.
Who hasn't laundered money? I mean, we all do it. So it's like jaywalking. You can arrest anybody for it if you want.
Do you know I'm recording this as well?
What? We're going to come to Russia sometime on like a podcast tour, and just Kaplan will be arrested when he steps off the plane. It'll be great.
Yeah.
What's the confidence in elections among just the average person?
In general, what do you mean by confidence in the election?
Like, do people say, oh, if I go vote, my vote's going to be counted, it's going to make a difference, so I should vote?
No, this is actually the thing which all the kind of post-Soviet autocracies play against. Like this is their goal is not to make more people vote for them. Their goal is to make less people vote.
Right, to have less confidence.
So
we have a similar. There's a similar party to that in America, actually.
Yeah. I
not naming names, but
yeah. So basically, it becomes easier to kind of, because all the people working for the government, there's a lot of them, like soldiers, teachers, like all the officials. They vote, like that's mandatory for them to, like they kind of. They're forced by their bosses to vote, and they get problems if they don't. So it's kind of they must come to the election, put a tick where they're supposed to do it, and make a picture and send it to their superiors.
So they can see who they voted for, the superiors?
Yeah.
So then they know I have to vote for. It's smarter
so
to vote for one party.
Basically, the less people vote, the easier it is to rig it. And in general, this sense of like inevitability, it kind of it plays for the government. It's kind of, it's kind of shit, but when has it been different? You know, like, because like the economy hasn't grown in like, I think 11 years in Russia. And in general, it's getting
right with oil down. Has that just affected the Russian economy? In a way they can't recover
oil sanctions, like the expansion of the government sector of the economy, which is huge.
The oligarch sector. Is it the?
Yeah, oligarch is like, technically they're private businesses, but kind of they're affiliated. So in general, like a lot of measures which are designed to keep the strong centralized power, they also, unsurprisingly, ruin the economy. Like this is pretty straightforward.
So getting to these specific elections that were having, like 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Right?
They were local elections.
Now, Navalny's...
they were local elections,
Local elections, but seemingly important, correct? Or no?
Well, they were important because, like, basically what Navalny is doing, what they kind of the scheme like they came up with, because he still isn't allowed to register his own party. It's kind of like he basically has a party. He has like a union of people, and he has like local offices in many different regions, but like they just like refuse under different like technicalities, like technical errors. They have been denying the registration for like the past several years. This is probably the only thing similar between Kanye West and Navalny, but
we'll cut that part out. Don't worry. Keep going.
He came up with this scheme because like because one of his sort of ideas is that although we all understand that, for example, parties which are already in the parliament, such as Communist Party, and like we like have a couple of other parties which all support Putin, even though he realizes that they're all kind of like their central officials, like the leaders of these parties, are kind of affiliated. They get money from Putin and everything. But if we in general give the local candidates from these parties, if they give them a chance to run, they will possibly act in the interests of the local people.
Sure.
So basically what he invented, he kind of not invented, but he applied this scheme. It's called like a smart voting. Because basically you subscribe to like an email, what's it called? Like email
list.
Like a listserv?
Yeah, like a mailing list. Yeah, subscribe to the mailing list. And it gives, like, they evaluate the strongest candidate, not from the ruling party. And it can be from a party like communists, like, or some local party, which completely contradicts everything Navalny is for, but it's the strongest contender on this particular in this particular sector against the ruling party candidate. So the point is that the votes don't disperse between all the opposition candidates. But if you follow this mailing list, you vote for the candidate which is has the biggest chance to challenge the ruling party candidate.
Whoa,
that's smart.
The whole point is not for we want this, we want that, we want that. It's literally just we want the ruling party out.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
The United Russia is the name of the ruling party, right?
Yeah, you want United Russia. Yeah.
We want United Russia out. If it's a flat earther, we'll vote for him as long as he gets
if he's the strongest candidate, yeah.
Pretty much.
Do you guys have QAnon over there? If he's QAnon, we'll get Q in. We'll get this guy out.
What's that?
You don't have Q? Mr. Q, what are you doing? No, it's our cult.
I thought you guys created it, first of all.
Oh, maybe we did, but we forgot already. So it's good.
No, a Russian bot created it, not a Russian person. So we
don't. It's a conspiracy theory in America that was started, I think, 4 or 5 years ago, that all of our political leaders, except Trump, all of our political leaders, the Clintons, the Obamas, the Bush family, and Hollywood actors, Tom Hanks, Tom Cruise, they run an international pedophile ring, and they're also eating babies.
Are they?
And
you've done more, eating.
according to QAnon, and then this has now become a legitimate political. They're winning elections, local elections in America on this platform.
Local, they do the same thing. They go local. Yeah.
And then Trump is there's Trump. The reason why Trump's in office, according to them, is because he is secretly fighting. He's a superhero fighting against Tom Hanks and the Clintons. I mean, I'm not kidding. This is what they believe. And he's fighting against them, and that the day of reckoning is going to come soon, where there'll just be one morning where we wake up, and in all the newspapers, except for the failing New York Times, all the other newspapers, they're going to be arrested. All these people are going to be arrested. Just one morning. So we're all waiting for that day.
No, Judgment Day. I didn't. Yeah, you've done more. You might be a member
like
for all I know.
Seems like a strong platform. I think in Russia we need people romantic enough to run something like this. Like we're full of cynical people here. Like
you can get them in. Get them in on the smart voting platform.
Yeah. So basically, smart voting, like in some cases, it happened, and it worked in many cases. It worked in the previous election. It worked in this election. So basically, Navalny is making it kind of stronger and stronger, aiming at the parliamentary election. So this is his activity, which is seems the most probably disruptive at the moment.
So if they're gonna steal, if it's already kind of like an open secret that Putin's party, is it Russia United?
United Russia, yeah.
United Russia.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, by all the polls, even though like there are very few independent like polling agencies in Russia, almost none. But even by very conservative like government-funded polls, like United Russia is like universe, like it has an approval rating of like 25 or something. Like,
oh wow,
like really,
okay.
like Putin has more, like, but that's why he's been distancing from it, like politically. Usually, like everything bad goes to it's the party's fault. Yeah, it's the party's fault.
Blame the party. Good move.
But if something good happens, like Putin comes out, it's like it's me. It's like I made the vaccine.
Trump has definitely learned that from.
He's learned from the best. So why don't, if he's going to steal, if it's kind of an open secret that Putin steals elections and all this kind of stuff, why would he let them win anything? Why wouldn't he just rig those elections too? The ones that that Navalny's people are starting to win, or at least start voting.
Well, just because it's a human factor. I don't know, like if it's really hard to rig completely if it's a proper election. Like it's hard to rig completely. Like if, I don't know, 80% vote against the ruling candidates, it's hard. It's still, there are still some procedures, and especially in local like provinces, like other regions, sometimes there are people who just don't want to rig elections. You can't just make everybody.
Okay,
in some particular in some particular like voting place, like they just refuse. And there are whole regions who are like considered like protest regions, like Khabarovsk. I don't know, probably you didn't get this, but get any news about that. But we had some protests like recently, and they're still continuing. And Khabarovsk is like near Vladivostok, is like the very far east of Russia, like near China. And there was a guy who, I mean, he is alive, hopefully now, but he became the governor, and he wasn't from the ruling party, and nobody expected him to become a governor. He was from one of the other big parties, which also support Putin, but they have different policies. So he won the election there, became the governor. Local parliament also was won by the other party. So he was the governor. It was very annoying for the people. And during the referendum, like this referendum for Putin's like constitutional referendum, in this region, they didn't rig the voting. So it had like the lowest percentage of Putin, like for this constitutional reform, one of the lowest percentages in the whole country. And so like 2 weeks after that, he just got like FSB came from Moscow, arrested him under again like some kind of like, some guy heard that he ordered to kill somebody 20 years ago, just literally
Wait, the governor? Kind of, he was the governor of the region, and he was arrested?
Yeah. And now he's under closed trial in Moscow. And in Khabarovsk, a lot of people are protesting this. Like, literally, like, this region has never seen such massive protests. But like at the very least that they're demanding is for him to get a trial there in Khabarovsk, which would kind of make sense.
Yeah,
because
Right.
now it
Not in
just
Moscow.
looks like kind of they just arrested him, got to Moscow, closed trial, nothing, just whatever comes out. Like, it's nobody can, nobody can be held accountable for this.
So these people who win local elections, who just won 2 weeks ago, are they going to get arrested soon?
Or did they win? Did a lot of them win? Is that?
Oh, a number. Yeah, we should say a number of them won, right?
Yeah.
So are they worried that they'll get arrested because they won against the United Russia Party?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Oh, are the people who won a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
You know, are they now concerned that they might be in danger, arrested because they won?
Possibly, but still, because of the new, again, they changed before this election, they changed the procedure for the election so that the voting lasted not 1 day, which would always kind of, it lasted for 3 days, like during the night. Obviously nothing was under control, because usually even at the most most one-sided elections, we still had the procedure. We had this 1 day. We had people who would watch over the election from different organizations, different parties, and at the end of the day, they would watch, and there were a lot of scandals. Sometimes there were a lot of cases. They noticed the rigging, and that's it. Now, for 3 days, United Russia got huge percentages everywhere, obviously, despite their real rating. So even though some people went through, usually in bigger cities, like regional centers, it's good that now in the local parliaments, for example, there is a small minority, but still real opposition.
Yes.
Are they in danger? They will definitely have problems in their lives. I don't know how big problems. That depends on how.
Hopefully, they didn't threaten to kill anybody when they were young.
Yeah, so I mean, they definitely will work under great pressure.
And the 3 days is so that between day 1 and day 2, they can go home at night and say, "Oh, let's count this ballot. Let's not count that ballot. Count that ballot, not that." And then,
basically, if the what's the ballot thing? Where do you put the ballot? What's it called?
The ballot box. We literally call it a ballot box. Yeah.
Okay, great. So the ballot box. If it's 1 day, it's literally if you people watching over it the whole day. Yeah. If it's 3 days during the night, nobody's watching it. So what happens during these times?
Yep.
Nobody knows.
Okay. And so for Navalny, he's currently, for those who don't know, he's in Germany. He got out of the coma. He was in a coma for a month, right? He's now come out of the coma. He didn't die of the poisoning. He's still alive. I don't know if I know he posted on Instagram maybe yesterday or a few days ago saying, "Hey, I'm alive." And then he was also joking. He said "Hey, I'm alive. I breathed I was breathing by myself for all day today. You guys should try it sometime. It feels great."
Yeah. I mean, that's his kind of style. It's really, it really appeals to.
What does he do now?
Is he going to come back to Russia, or what's the move?
Well, he announced, I think, some of his team, somebody from his team announced, I think, that he's definitely coming back to continue his work.
I mean, is that insane?
Yes, I mean, it is kind of. Yes, it is.
What did he get poisoned? Was it drinking tea or what was it?
Well, it was. Well, now it's really hard to say, but now it looks like it's the bottle of water which was in his room. So when
that's a tough. I was gonna say if you do the coronavirus protocols, you make all your own meals, you never order out, you never leave the house. But if your own bottles of water are poisoned. Yeah, it's really hard to.
That's why when you open the top, you got to see if the seal's broken or not.
Yeah, maybe
it's a soda stream,
open, but maybe just a little bit of the because the thing is that now what he's demanded after, if I don't know if you know this, but he also posted about this, and like his team posted about this, what he's demanding now is the security video from the hotel, which obviously disappeared.
Don't stay in a
Then
hotel.
his clothes, which obviously disappeared.
Yeah.
And something else. But basically, it's all related to the time when he was in the hotel. In the hotel and after, because in the hospital, they took off his clothes, and it's supposed to be evidence.
Yeah.
But it's disappeared. And security cameras from the hotel as well.
So even
You gotta tip your chamber meets.
What?
Sorry. I guess you got to tip your chamber, the housekeepers in your hotel room. You gotta, you gotta.
So even
even
the hospital was in on it. Then, if they took him to the hospital,
it's hard to say, because basically what happened is, also he wrote in a recent post kind of thanking people that it was like a chain of random events which kind of say, like, apparently, like, it appears to that saved his life, right? It's, for example, that the pilots, because what happened, when he started feeling sick in the air on the plane, the pilots, they kind of quickly diverted the plane, found the nearest airport, Omsk, and when they announced to the airport that we have a man feeling sick, so we're landing, have no emergency landing, like, somebody rang the airport and said that there is a bomb. So the airport could also, so there was this problem. So maybe it was designed so they say to the pilots there is a bomb, so the pilots take the plane somewhere else, and that time would kill him,
Russian, right?
Probably, yeah. So, but they did everything quickly, and the paramedics, which came to the emergency medical service, they came also very quickly, and they recognized that it was a poisoning. So they injected him with a big dose of what's called atropine. It's a thing which is quite common for poisonings, and it, like, every hospital has it. And later
in Russia,
yeah, I was gonna say,
yeah.
Do you think in America there's like a common antidote for poisoning? Just at all of our?
No, yeah, it is. There is.
Wait,
there is. Okay.
All over the world. Yeah.
Because you could
it's kind of a common. It's a common thing, but basically, it needs to be recognized as a specific kind of poisoning for the medics to use. And they kind of looked at the symptoms. Okay, it's a fucking poisoning.
Got it.
Let's do this. And then later, they, like, the officials, like the chief doctor of the hospital, of course, they denied everything. But again, the actual results, like, they denied it was poisoning. Yeah, they said, like, metabolism problems.
Yes. Happens to the best of us. I have that.
Kaplan has it.
Anybody?
Yeah. So basically, yeah, they denied it was poisoning, and then, but the actual results of the
doctor in Germany, though.
No. The thing is, the actual results of his the actual samples never shown to the public as well. That's the third thing that he's demanding now, like the actual results. Because they just made statements, but they didn't show anything. Yeah. So, but later, it appears that a lot of people there, they kind of discoordinated, even the people who are kind of in on this. Yeah. So, for example, when doctors in Germany said, okay, this is poisoning, so we're using atropine, this antidote, to treat him. And some doctor from the hospital in Omsk said, oh, we actually use atropine as well. And everybody's like, why would you use atropine if it wasn't a poisoning?
Exactly. So why would Putin, if for 10 years it was beneficial for Putin to have him as a rival?
Why do you think it's beneficial? I don't think so.
Oh, it was not. It was. You don't think?
No,
it was
I mean,
ever
it's beneficial. No. It's actually a funny thing that Putin and his main, like, spokesperson, like press secretary guy who kind of translates his ideas to kind of like gives out his actual like thoughts, the official position of the Kremlin. They've never called Navalny by his actual name. Like they never said Navalny, like the word Navalny, they never say it. And kind of say, there are some bloggers who do this. There's this guy who actually broke the
Aggregator.
law, right? Yeah. And so Navalny on his profile in like social media, it says like Navalny, politician, like founder of like this, and also like all these epithets that Putin and like other officials used to call him. It's kind of like some people like that patient, like this, and they say like now they call him like Berlin patient.
Berlin patient. There's patients in Berlin, and we don't like the way they're acting. So why would he ramp it up now to want to kill him?
I mean, like, first of all, I don't think Navalny is beneficial to Putin because what's beneficial for him is like this illusion of the opposition. Basically, the guys running for presidents is the guys who contended Yeltsin. Like they're super old and like useless
generation. Yes.
Yeah. So basically, they have illusion of like several parties, like several political forces, but like this is the level of opposition that he is okay with. Yeah, and sometimes on the last election he uses like democratic spoilers. For example, he used the daughter of Sobchak, who is like a Russian Paris Hilton basically, and he is the daughter. She's the daughter. Yeah, she's the daughter of former boss of Putin, who was the mayor of St. Petersburg in the 90s.
And she ran against him?
So, yeah. But like as sort of like a spoiler for the opposition, like it's like she's like, oh, I'm for democracy and like. Blah, blah,
Jesus.
blah.
Paris Hilton could win here, or could have won here years ago, but yeah.
I mean, now I wouldn't be surprised.
Not anymore.
You know?
She's not in. But so you're saying that it just reached a point where he got too annoying and he had to like he never liked him, and then he just.
I don't know I can't like why now that is something I completely don't want to speculate on. Like it really looks like they did it, but why now? Why there? I don't know.
Do you think the Belarus is connected at all? Like just trying to show like we're not going to have any of that, or is it that's too? Yeah, no, I have no.
Have you heard this? Have you heard this thing in Belarus? Because like Lukashenko is now like he seems to have gone completely crazy, of course. But he's like literally demented. But he had this thing like when he was meeting with the Russian Prime Minister, he said we intercepted a talk between two American agents. One was in like Lithuania and the other in Poland or something like this. And what they're talking about is that Navalny was poisoned to divert Putin's attention from Belarus. And they were like literally there's this like audio, and there are like two people with like talking with American accents, like literally like the most like the most crudely made thing ever is kind of like, yeah, hey Mike, hey Nick, so what about Navalny? Everything is great.
Yeah, we got
everything goes according to plan. Yeah, so Putin will not pay attention to Belarus because Lukashenko is actually a tough guy. Yeah, we didn't expect him.
That was some out-of-work comedians in New York City, by the way. They needed a job.
They needed
like,
oh yeah.
Hey man,
like,
$50 is $50.
And by the way, Lukashenko has a huge dick. Like,
just so you know, if you heard it here.
Yeah, like literally like this. I think Putin is like Putin as far as like several sources say, like Putin really hates Lukashenko. He thinks he's basically like a.
So he doesn't like you. He doesn't care about Lukashenko.
He doesn't like him, but he kind of understands that now. Like, of course, Putin would have another person probably as president of Belarus than Lukashenko, but.
He's the guy he's got to deal with now.
But he's supporting him because he can't have a neighboring country power changed by force or by like not like election.
He's got to show. Yeah, he's got to show like it's like this guy for now will do because he can't allow them to change. Because that sets a precedent.
Like if that sets a precedent, if
it can happen there,
the government changes. Not by election.
Do people
that's what
in
happened
Russia,
in Ukraine? Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think when people in Russia and when they see these ridiculous things like you're talking about, these staged tapes, do people believe are there people who believe this stuff, or like in general, or like it's real?
Do you mean like the intercepted transmission?
Yeah. Is it actual? It's not a joke to everybody. There are like older people maybe who think it's real. And
I mean, in general, a lot of people, like in Russia, it's even though like Putin kind of officially supports Lukashenko, in Russia he's still kind of a figure of ridicule. It's kind of like Lukashenko is a fucking idiot.
Yeah,
everybody knows it. Like, and in general, like even on Russian television, it's allowed to make fun of Lukashenko even now. That's
the ultimate insult, by the way.
Yeah. When you're.
So what's it like?
In general, that's fine. That's what I wanted to say. That's in general, even though he supports him not because he likes him, but he's and not because not even because it's convenient. It's because he can't have a power changing in Belarus. Not by election, kind of, because it sets a precedent for
exactly.
That's what happened in Ukraine. And that's a scary story he's telling us, that in Belarus, Americans are kind of practicing to get to Russia, to use the same.
We're working
technology.
on it.
Yeah, step one, okay. Belarus, domino theory.
We're both.
Step one, Ukraine. It's already happened.
Yes, exactly.
It's that thing where we're so incompetent and yet we're able to go around the world and do all this. We can't control coronavirus in our country, but we can.
You can influence everything. Hong Kong, Belarus.
Oleg, I know you have to leave in a minute, but I want to ask you because I think people that are going to be listening to this in America, who are listening to this right now, are going to find it almost like surprising that you talk about so much, so freely. Talk about this. Good. So, I know as a comedian, you're a political comedian.
Yeah.
What's it like talking about? Like, how far into politics do you get? What can you talk about? What can you not talk about? And what is it like going around Russia talking about this kind of stuff?
In general, now, a lot of people, because the thing is, stand-up comedy is like a very new form of entertainment in Russia. It's maybe like 10, 12 years old only. So in general, the audience for stand-up comedy is quite young, and it's mostly like big cities. So political jokes usually go down really well. The only thing is that, of course, not every material, like if you're fine with your material not going on TV, you can, like in a club, you can say mostly anything. If you transmit it to a wider audience, like it's like a videos on YouTube, even like if you get millions of views, sometimes it can be a problem. Sometimes, like usually, if you, for example, there were precedents of like people talking about the church. Like making like videos like ridiculing the church, and then somebody would sue them for this. But in general, so far there were no like
they're not in a Berlin hospital right now, are they?
Yeah. They were sued. They were mostly found guilty, but there was some sentence, usually. Not actual imprisonment, but sometimes imprisonment. Pussy riot, of course. Like
I was about to say the pussy riot. Yeah. What about that?
Like, that's what I was but also, it's ridiculous because like how people are prosecuted for like specific words or spreading specific information in Russia. It's kind of as far as we understand now, it's kind of like a random choice. For example, you can repost on your social media, on Russian social media, like vk.com. Like the Russian Facebook thing, you can repost other persons. Like I know it can be like anything. Like really, it can be even like it can be, for example, it can be a picture of like Nazis, with like and saying like Nazis are bad, but since it has a swastika, they can kind of
PC police
you for this. But like it can be anything. If you write like I don't know, like all the government officials are like crooks or something, like or like we should like I know do something bad to the mayor or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
anything like in any context, literally, because like sometimes it's kind of we can see why under current legislation it might be illegal. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes we don't see it at all. But the thing is, it's kind of like a random pick. It's kind of so everybody, and the case is not to get everybody. The goal is not to get everybody, of course. The goal is to make everybody think that it could happen to them.
Could happen.
So you'll self-censor.
Yeah.
Self-censorship is the goal. Yeah.
So you just don't want a viral clip. I mean, I hate to break it to you, but our clips go millions of viewers. We get, right, Turner?
Yeah, I have seen this. I've made my research.
Exactly why you agreed to be so.
Amazing. So you're not worried about what might happen to you?
I mean, I haven't said anything that there is independent media in Russia. It's usually kind of there is it doesn't go to a very wide audience, but there is enough of them. I haven't said anything. I haven't I don't have any insight. I just say what people are thinking.
Great.
Yes, that's allowed to say. Yeah, exactly. What people are thinking.
All right. Well, Oleg, thank you for doing the show, man. I know you're running to another show right now. You're going to go do stand-up, real life stand-up. It doesn't exist in America right now.
Yeah.
You have it in Moscow.
You guys have it inside and everything?
Yeah, everything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
look at that.
We have some a distancing of tables, antiseptics stuff. But in general, we've been working as indoors for 2 months, I think already, 1 month and a half.
That's great.
Yeah,
Steal the Show Comedy Club in Moscow. How do people follow you specifically, you directly?
I'm a private person. I don't do it. So follow the club.
Great.
Yeah, Steal the Show Comedy, all the social media. Steal the Show Comedy. Yeah, or stealtheshow.net, the website. I have a page on Facebook and Instagram as well. But in general, it's more useful to follow the club.
All right, and look out for you at the next. Are you going to go back to Edinburgh Fringe Festival?
Well, I was supposed to go, of course. I had already kind of a show approved, and I also had a show approved for Russian circuit thing. So another show, my own show and show for Russian circuit. But it got all got postponed to next year, because I already registered, and I'll be waiting for next year. I'm definitely coming back if possible, of course.
Right.
Next year.
If you ever come to New York City, we're doing a show together.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds good. All right, Kaplan, that's it. Thank you, Oleg, for doing the show. Kaplan.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I was going to say thank you so much. I've been arguing with Russian bots for a year on Twitter. It's nice to talk to a Russian person.
Nice to talk to a real Russian bot now.
A real Russian human being, yes.
That's it, Cap. What should we do?
Let's get lost.
Get lost.